Hi again, everybody. My name is Chuck Guglielmo, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Chuck. And today we are talking to interesting people, as this is a weekly interview with interesting people. And today we have the Superintendent of the Conneaut Area City School District, Michael Notar. Michael, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Yes, and we're having you back. One of the reasons we're having you back is because the last time we had you, which I believe was the early part of December, a lot of things are developing, will develop, and have developed, so I thought we'd talk about some of that stuff.
Absolutely.
But before we do, congratulations on getting a 5-year contract.
Thank you. Yeah, I was excited. You know, we've had some discussions with the Board of Education, and you know, coming from Warren, there was, you know, I think there was some buzz in the district, and you know, was I going to look to leave the district? Was I only coming here for a few years? And you know, I've talked to the board about that I'm committed to the district and want to get it headed in the right direction. And so I had one more year left on my 3-year contract, and the board, you know, approved a 5-year contract extension, so through 2022, which is great because it gives a foundation. I think it lets the staff know that I'm here for the long run, and that I'm committed to the district and our staff and our students, so I'm very excited.
Exactly, stability.
That's it. That's the word. Exactly. Yep.
And so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to talk about is I was noticing the new school calendar is out. And for the first time that I can recall since the decade of the 60s, school is going to let out before Memorial Day.
Yeah.
What's the thought process behind that?
Yeah, it actually worked out really well. It's a unique, actually, the school calendar next year is very unique because of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day have fallen on a Saturday and Sunday, both of those. So it's a little unique, but and also too, we usually start third week of August, and with Labor Day, we're actually in school almost 2 full weeks before Labor Day actually hits us. So with the timing of the calendar, you know, our second semester finishes right at Christmas break, which was great. And with everything lined up perfectly, the same number of days our teachers work contractually every year, we were able to end school at, I believe our last day for students is the Thursday before Memorial Day, and our teachers is the Friday before Memorial Day, which is good for our students and good for the families if they have plans for that Memorial Day weekend. You know, this year's an example. We're off Memorial Day weekend, then we come back for about 2 or 3 days, and so by being able to shift everything a little bit forward, you know, we can concentrate, and those days can be used proactively rather than just coming back and have 2 or 3 days left before school lets out. So,
are we starting the school a little bit earlier? I know we always start in August, but it seems like this time it's the 22nd, I believe.
22nd for our teachers, and the students will start on Tuesday at the 23rd. And we started on the 23rd this past year. It was just the way that the dates lined up. They lined up perfectly, and it's a little unique just because in years past you almost had about 1 full week before Labor Day. Well, now we have about 2 full weeks now, and we're pretty consistent with the other school districts throughout Ashtabula County. I know Jefferson is starting maybe a week earlier than we are, but other than that, everybody else is pretty consistent. So
I had always thought that one of the reasons, or the main reason we always started before Labor Day was because of the sports season. But I understand testing has something to do with that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's helped out this year with the Ohio Department of Education, you know, pushing testing until April. Once we come back from our spring break here soon, we'll begin testing. It's throughout the month of April 4th through the 29th is our testing. But, you know, that's another reason why, too. We get you know, rather than having our students 3 to 5 days after testing, we'd rather have them 3 or 5 more days before testing. So, you know, there's been a big push from the state of Ohio in regards to even bumping school up to starting mid-August to try to give our teachers and our students a little bit more time. You know, and we've talked with various, you know, organizations, and I know it doesn't affect us too much. You know, we do have D-Day here, but the way the dates lined up with D-Day, we've always started the Monday after D-Day, and again this year, next year our teachers will start the Monday after D-Day, and our students will start that Tuesday. So it still worked out pretty well. We did make an adjustment with the first teacher workday. It's usually that Friday when D-Day is happening. We moved it to Thursday to alleviate any congestion in our parking lots and travel and things like that. But yeah, we're starting to see a big push from Ohio. A lot of school districts move in the mid-August. We haven't done that yet, but you know, and a lot of it comes down to testing and having more time with the students.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine that nearly 75% of the school year is completed already.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It seems like once you get past the Christmas break, the school year kind of goes fast.
Yeah, it does. And it's a busy time of the year now, obviously with testing coming up and graduation and getting things in line for next year with our principals and our teachers and our students and getting everything taken care of, our master schedules at the middle school and high school. So it's a busy time of the year for myself and our building principals.
Well, since you brought it up, the
Yeah,
building
I did
principals,
ask.
about a month ago or so, we were all kind of shocked to see in the paper the big move, or whatever word you want to use it,
Yeah.
restructuring or changing or whatever it is. What's the thought process behind that? I know it has something to do with the state report card.
Yeah, a little bit it does. We've been fortunate that through the Ohio Department of Education, we've been accepted, and we're part of the state professional development grant. And what that is, we have a core group of people. We have our 4 building principals and a teacher from each building, and including myself, that are on a committee, and we're going through training this year and next year. It's a 2-year cohort. And part of that training is taking a look at your school district from top to bottom. Schools were originally designed for the average student, and as students started to struggle, then programs started being implemented. And now we're taking a look at our district from top to bottom in regards to what programs we offer our students that are effective, that are showing growth for our students, and maybe some programs that we are doing that aren't really showing the growth that we want our students to have. And also part of the training is aligning staff, to better align our staff to meet the needs of our not only our teachers, but most importantly our students. And so it's taken me about 1.5 years to really get to know our teachers and our administrators' strengths, weaknesses, and try to build upon talents that they're good at. And so I had a discussion with our building principals a few weeks ago, and it involved shifting some people. And it all started with, when I was hired as the superintendent, we downsized the curriculum director. And that was Chris Mucci, who Chris then took over as the principal at Gateway, the 3-5 building. And I've talked with our board in regards for us to grow as a district, we have to provide high quality professional development for our teachers. It's hard for myself to really concentrate on that when I have other tasks at hand to do. So the board was very open in bringing Chrissy back as our curriculum director to help guide our district with curriculum and instruction and testing, and her and I can work together on that. So that started the trickle process with Chrissy accepting the position and leaving Gateway. It left Gateway open for a principal position. That building has gone through a tremendous amount of transition over the past 5 years. I think Chrissy was the 3rd principal in the past 5 years at Gateway. So bringing in a new principal, fresh, whether they're new to administration or bringing in somebody from the outside for that building, it might set the building, I felt it would set the building back a couple more years, and we really don't have a couple years to waste, and it really wasn't fair to that staff either. So looking in the past, Don Zappatelli was an assistant principal at Gateway in the past. Don is very, very strong curriculum-wise, very strong administrator in our district. So I talked with Dawn, and moving her to Gateway was a perfect move because 1, she's a strong administrator, and 2, she's had experience in that building. So instead of that building wasting a couple of years and trying to have a principal adjust, Dawn can take off right where Chrissy left off and continue to move that building forward. So then it was a trickle effect from there, which left the high school position open, which we currently posted, and we're searching for a high school principal. The other move that we made obviously was Mr. Kennedy, who's at our Lakeshore building, moving him to the middle school to take over as the middle school principal. Some of the people in our district and parents may know that we've struggled specifically in the area of math in our middle school. Our scores are very, very low. Mr. Kennedy was a middle school math teacher at the middle school and was a very, very good middle school math teacher. And I've spoken with parents and students that he's had in the past, and he was very successful. So again, taking a person's talents and moving them into a position that they can better serve our students. And so Jim is going to move to the middle school, and he knows he has a task at hand in working with that math department and working on what we can do in the math department at the middle school to bring those scores up and to work better with our students. So by moving him to middle school, the last change then was Mr. Taylor. He's currently the middle school principal. He served before as the athletic administrator in the district, and with us now in an athletic conference, I felt it was very necessary for us to have a full-time athletic director rather than an assistant principal / athletic director, somebody that can really dedicate their time to the league, communication, meetings, being out of the building, and so forth. And
With all the new schools that he'll be involved in.
correct, yeah. The next few years are very important for us because we're thrilled to be in an athletic conference and to increase that communication and have the flexibility to attend meetings and not miss out because they're tied to a building, and to help out with certain programs. And so Joel, serving in that position in the past, he's familiar with it. And you always look at an athletic administrator, somebody that knows the tradition of the district. And Joel's one, he definitely knows the tradition. He was born here, raised here, went to school, and he'll be here. And so he knows the tradition behind all our sports programs. So he'll do a phenomenal job as the athletic administrator.
So it'll stay as athletic administrator or athletic director?
It'll be an athletic administrator. It's a licensed principal, which would be Joel. But usually in the past, what happened was Mr. Campbell is our athletic administrator now. He's an assistant principal / athletic administrator. But there are times he has to be in the building and can't leave for certain athletic meetings or so forth. And so I wanted to take that restriction off the position and focus on academics as well. So Mr. Campbell will still be an assistant principal, but at Gateway, and therefore he can help Dawn at Gateway focus on the academics in that building. So, the moves, again, we're trying to put people in positions utilizing their talents and where they can grow professionally, but also help our staff and most importantly our students. So we're looking forward to the changes. And again, it's taken me about a year and a half to really get to know people and their strengths and weaknesses and where they can help move our district forward. And we've had that talk with our principals. It's about doing what's best for our kids, and sometimes that means changing positions or roles or responsibilities, but if it better serves our students, that's what's most important. So we're excited.
I have this question. It's not my question, but
Sure.
it's my wife's question. And she says, make sure you write it down just like I tell you so you don't miss a word. So here it is.
Okay.
My sons are adults and out of college, but I have a vested interest in the success of the Conneaut schools because their reputation directly affects the value of my home. That said, is there evidence and or research out there that would tell you that reassigning the majority of the administrators is going to improve Conneaut's scores on the state report card?
Well, actually, it's a great question. And this is actually, we have our district leadership team meeting tomorrow. And what we're doing is, John Haiti, he's one that did research years ago and did over 15,000 studies and looked at and surveyed about 240 million students across the nation. And he looked at factors that have the most impact on improving student achievement. And one of those factors is aligning people to better meet their talents and their skill levels that are better going to serve the students and the staff in their particular building. So yes, there is research. It does have a positive impact and it's not only our building principals, but it's our teachers as well. And I'll give you a prime example. As I talked to a teacher the other day at the middle school who teaches two different subjects, social studies and language arts. And I said, you as a teacher, what do you feel your strongest talent is? Where can you reach our students better and move them better academically, in social studies or in language arts? Because you're certified in both. And his answer was language arts. That's where I feel comfortable. I feel I have the most impact on students. So we're going to make that adjustment in the middle school for the language arts and make sure that he is working with our students in language arts and not in social studies. And so yeah, student-teacher relationships, as far as the, aligning people appropriately to match their skill level, and also that's going to have an impact on student, it definitely helps with student achievement, the end result. So yeah, I think the moves are better, utilizing the skill set of our building principals and putting them in positions where they can really lead that building and the students based upon their knowledge. So.
When you spoke with the administrators, did you do that on one-on-one, or did you have them all as a group to tell them about
No,
what you
one-on-one.
wanted to do?
Yeah, one-on-one. And we'll do the same. Anytime districts do make changes, I've been in a number of districts, and sometimes, there are some staff changes, whether it's administrators or teachers. And out of the respect of those people, I like to talk with them individually and the reasons why and some of the strengths that, when I met with our building principals, it was all about their strengths. The moves were because of their strengths and why they're moving to the positions they were. You know, we live in a negative society, and I hate being negative about anything, and so we have to start focusing more on the positive, on why we're making the moves we are and the positive impacts that they're going to have. So yeah, anytime there's changes in staffing, I like to sit down and talk with the people privately, one-on-one about it. So
this is something that the board and yourself are contemplating, that just didn't come up overnight?
No, it's like
Like
I
you
said,
said, a
it's,
year and a half.
It's taken a year and a half. You know, I've thought about some different things over the past year and a half on, you know, as far as programs and personnel and so forth. And we're having those discussions at our district leadership team meetings too, where we're currently evaluating our current programs and what programs are effective and how can we continue to build upon those, or what are some programs that we are currently doing that aren't effective. And I always use this as an example, and this is a perfect example. When I was hired as the superintendent, my secretary at the time said, you have to hire 10 tutors. And I said, why? And the answer was, well, because we've always had them. Well, now we have to take a look at, now those 10 tutors that are paid out of Title I federal dollars is around $165,000 a year. Well, are those 10 tutors really meeting the needs of our students, and are we seeing progress from that? Are we seeing the students moving? If the answer is no, then why continue to waste that money? Let's reallocate that money and spend it on other things that we can do to better serve our students. So, you know, I always say that just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean it has to continue to be done that way. So.
Talking with Conneaut Area City School Superintendent Michael Notar. Another one here, Michael, is that you will be searching for 2 new principals at the high school and primary levels. What will you be looking for in these 2 new people?
You know, I think one, you know, and I've talked with people, one is knowledge of curriculum at that specific content level or grade level, meaning at Lakeshore, somebody that's strong with early education, that knows preschool, that knows a K through 2 curriculum, that knows what level literacy intervention looks like, that knows what guided reading looks like. Those are important because those are important academic programs or things that we currently have in place that are showing positive impact for students. So finding somebody that has knowledge about those. Same thing with the high school, is somebody that is very familiar with high school curriculum, college credit plus courses, you know, being able to have familiar on the new standards and just having a background on high school curriculum. And I think that the biggest factor, because I'm a very personal person, I'm very hands-on, I love being in the buildings and I love interacting with our students, and I think that's very important too, that we bring people in that have that outgoing personality, that like to communicate with parents, that like to interact with teachers, that are positive people, most importantly people that love to interact with our students and you know, be a part of talking with them and getting feedback from them. And I know it's hard with the little ones at Lakeshore, but they still do. You know, I've been down there several times, and I'll be down there this Thursday, and just, you know, somebody that is able to interact with them and enjoys that. So I think that's very important.
Mm-hmm. When would you like to have the 2 new people in place?
Well, the goal is they're posted now through April 1st. The deadline's April 1st. And so what we'll do is we'll take a look at the, you know,
does that get posted all over the state?
Yeah, what we did is we posted it, obviously internally, we posted it through Neoman, which goes through Ashtabula, Mahoning County, and Trumbull County. And then Christina Ray at the ESC also posted on the state website too, to get it out as well. So that'll close April 1st. We'll take some time, we'll look at the resumes that were submitted, and we'll look at qualifications, and then we'll start the interview process. You know, currently right now, Chris Mucci will be the new curriculum director. Her and I, as well as the president and vice president of the school board, will be on the interviewing team.
And she did an outstanding job when she had that job before.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
Nothing but positive comments from people, and so we're looking forward to that, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. But those, myself, Chrissy, and the 2 board members, and then that will be for Lakeshore. And then for the high school, I'm looking at adding 1 female and 1 male student, junior students that will be seniors, to sit on the interviewing team, so they can also interview the next high school principal, because I want their feedback.
Sounds pretty cool.
Well. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our students, especially the high school, you know, I really believe strongly in getting their input and having them make decisions on their education and so forth. And so I think by having 2 student representatives be a part of the interviewing process and getting their feeling and input, that'll be valuable too. So,
Which one do you think would be more difficult to fill?
I would say only from past experience, probably the high school, because it's the high school principal's job. It's a difficult job. It is. It's a lot of time. I was a high school principal for a number of years, and it's a big time commitment. You average anywhere from 75 to 80 evening events a year, and meetings and things. So there's a lot of responsibility in that position. Not that Lakeshore isn't, but when you're dealing with young adults and you're getting them ready for graduation and going out to the workforce or a trade school or college, there's a lot of responsibility there, and a big time factor too. So probably the most difficult ones to fill. Plus, both positions, both Jim and Don have done a phenomenal job. So I think the people coming in, they have big shoes to fill as well, and I'm sure the people that are applying are going to look at that as well. But yep.
Now, the middle school and the high school assistant administrators are staying put?
Those are staying put. And again, to leave some foundation there, with Jim going to the middle school, Doug will be there, so he's been there for a few years, so at least the foundation's there, so it's not 2 new people and they're searching. And same thing with the high school. Rita will stay at the high school. She's been there, and she can help the new principal along as well.
So no chances that they would become
No.
principals?
Yeah, they may put in for it. I shouldn't answer that. They may. I mean, they still have a couple weeks, and so we'll see. Both of them, they may put in for it, and if they do, that's great, and we'll go from, as far as if one of them wants to put in for either the Lakeshore or the high school position. So can't answer that for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Some other things that have happened since we last talked to you. I knew you were going to have a couple months stay as being the principal yourself over at Lakeshore.
Yeah.
How was that? How did that go for you?
I tell you, it was awesome. It really was. I said I've told Mr. Kennedy it's a great way to start the day. I bragged a lot that you get to start your day with about 90 hugs every morning, and that's the best way to start the day. But
it sure is.
I was an elementary principal, a K through 4 principal, and it was nice going down there. I got really attached to not only the staff, but most importantly the students. And I stopped back on a regular basis. I'm probably seeing more in that building than the other buildings, only because of the attachment with the kids while being down there. But the kids are great down there. They're great to interact with, and it was a great time for me. I think I needed that, personally, and plus, I think with the situation, I didn't want Jim, who was going to be off, to worry about his building, and bringing in a sub-principal who really didn't know the district, or I wanted him to be off and not worry about the building, and everything was going to be fine, and I think that helped with him as well. I know the teachers were a little nervous at first having the superintendent come on, but I think once they get to know me as a person, and a lot of them have shared that in my interaction with the students and the teachers, and doing what's right for our kids, they adjusted very, very well. So it's a great staff down there, and I enjoyed working with them. So it was a great experience.
And I forgot what I was going to say. Something on that line, but I forgot. Maybe it'll come back to me. Also, since we last talked, you did get the Spartans into a new conference, the District 10 conference in Pennsylvania. Jim Campbell at the time was setting up schedules. I don't know if he got all the sports schedules.
Yeah, football was done first. I think all the fall sports are currently done right now, and almost all I think the basketball or the winter sports are now finalized too as well, because I went to the girls' basketball banquet and they had the schedule for next year already there for the parents and so forth. So yeah, we're excited, and it was, like I said, it was perfect timing for everything. We received our denial letter from the All-American Conference for a second time in a row, and then
and you said that was basically due to facilities, was it?
Well, it's hard to say. I'm not going to point the finger on anybody, but originally a couple of years ago it was because of our facilities. Well, that question's out of the equation now, so it's really not facilities. And plus, that conference currently has 3 other school districts from Ashtabula in the conference. So as far as distance, and we all know it's not that much of a drive from Buckeye to Conneaut, and Buckeye,
like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and they're currently in that conference, so the distance really doesn't pertain either. And then the Northeastern Athletic Conference, we got our denial for the second year in a row from that conference, and a lot of that I was told, because we have a football program and most of the schools in that conference have our non-football teams, other than a couple of them. And so, we got the 2 denial letters, and then, I just began the conversation, and actually, I called the Ohio High School Athletic Association to see if it's possible if an Ohio school district can join a different athletic league in another state. And they said, yeah, there's many Southern Ohio school districts in the past and currently that play in athletic conferences in West Virginia. And so I didn't know where to begin with PA, and when I was at Lakeshore, Marcus Paradise, who's our phys ed teacher down there, is a graduate of Northwestern High School in PA, so I talked with him. He gave me the athletic director's name at Northwestern. I called the athletic director. He got me in touch with the name of the District 10 director, and we began the conversations. I think I called him on a Tuesday, and he said, Mike, we're meeting as a committee tomorrow to decide on the alignment of District 10 and the teams. Can you get me a letter? And so I typed up a letter, sent it to him Tuesday night. He took it to the committee Wednesday. They wanted some time to think about it, and about 2 weeks after that, they voted and allowed us to come into the conference. So
Great news.
yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
We're excited.
Last time you and I talked was at a basketball game. I was asking you how the officiating and the refereeing were working out, and it was going to work out, and you said you guys were working on those details. Anything news on that front?
I haven't heard anything. I mean, those are minor details we'll work out. There was some discussion whether PA officials can be, can referee in the state of Ohio. But with us being so close to PA, there's a lot of officials that are both certified in Ohio and PA, and so, we'll utilize those officials for that. And as far as scheduling the officials, that's going to be worked out with the league, because the nice thing I will say, and I've said this over and over, one, with District 10, all the school districts that are involved in that, for them accepting us, and one comment that they did make when they accepted us was the teams, the people on the committee have played against Conneaut in the past in different sports, and they just complimented our student athletes on how well they behaved and how respectful they were. And that was a huge consideration in bringing us into the conference, and so that's a compliment to our coaches and our student athletes for doing the right thing, because people do notice that. But the one thing that I said is they do things pretty well over there. I mean, it's very organized as far as the scheduling and how they handle things, and so it couldn't have been a better situation for us. And I guess what's neat is next year's senior athletes, this will be the first time they're playing in a conference, because they were eliminated when they were seventh grade. So I'm excited for them, and I know they are too. So
Sure.
it gives them something to play for every week and every day.
Sure. Now, what about on the middle school sports level? Will they be playing those teams, or is that going to be different?
Yeah, no, there were some talks in regards to, Ashtabula County trying to get a middle school league together, but that kind of fizzled and went by the wayside. And so, again, we've been patient over the past couple of years, and now it was an opportunity for us to take care of our student athletes, and so we'll participate as well in middle school sports and so forth. So, yep.
No, we're all excited about that.
Yeah, I am too.
Can't wait for that to start. Just meeting new people.
Absolutely,
and that
seeing
kind of
new
stuff as
facilities
well.
and having people come here, and
Develop
we've had
new
some
rivalries.
discussions, and some of the schools coming here, they're looking forward to coming, which is nice. And and again, developing those rivalries, and the first year it might seem odd, but the more we get to get into it, and and what's nice with PA, Pennsylvania, is they realign every 2 years. So, in a couple of years, we may make a shift based upon, because we're the new kids on the block, we're the new school district in there. So, as we start to get into the league a little bit more and start to get a feel for those students, for the other schools, when we do a realign, we'll have, a little bit more talk on where we best fit when it comes to competition level too. So there might be some schools that might be a little bit strong for us to play right now. I know there's a couple schools with our girls basketball, but those adjustments can be made in a couple of years when we realize that, and we're at the table with that committee making those decisions. But again, it's a learning process for our kids as well, and there's nothing wrong with playing bigger and better schools, because it does make you better at the end too. So especially with basketball, because no matter if you're 20-0 or 0-20, you're still going to the same sectional tournament. So yeah.
Now, what will you do 4 or 5 years down the road from now if some Ohio conferences come saying, we need you in our conference? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I think at that time we'll
Worry about it then.
We'll worry about it then. But again, we're in a situation where I think if we're happy and our parents and our community are happy where we're at, and 5 years from now, if the parents are happy and our student athletes are happy and being in District 10, then we're going to stay put. It's about what our kids like and what our parents like and what's easy for them too. So. Like I said, we're not so much excited for me, but more for our kids because they're happy and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Michael, let's close our interview with this. How did the parent-teacher conferences go this school year?
They went well. We actually had a great turnout. We really did at both. Sometimes, the winter one you'll have a drop off compared to the fall conferences, but we had a great turnout from both. We took
One you had canceled and you had to reschedule.
We had to reschedule, and there were a lot of events that night. That's the night that I talked with you. I think we had a basketball game, we had a middle school event, a high school event, parent-teacher conference. So we had a lot going on. Senior night. So. We did make a change in that this year. We've always had an evening and then a morning conference. Our morning doesn't show the results that our evening conferences do. So both in the fall and the winter next year, we're going to have 2 evening conferences. So in the fall, we'll have it a Tuesday, Thursday night, and then in the winter, we'll have it a Tuesday and Thursday night. So
all 4 buildings.
All 4 buildings, which would be nice. So, yep. So that way, if parents can't make it on Tuesday, they can come back on a Thursday and vice versa. So, but our turnout at the evening is much better than our daytime. So we figured we'd go with 2 evening conferences to kind of get more parents in.
Well, it was good chatting with you again.
Absolutely, yeah, me too.
Thanks for coming in, and if you make more headlines, we'll get you back in here again before the end of this school year, if not definitely before the start of the next school year.
I appreciate it, I do. I love being on here and talking about the great things that are happening.
Thanks. Michael Notar, Superintendent of Conneaut Area City Schools. And next week on Around the Town with Chuck, we're going to get ready for Cleveland Indians baseball. Have a good night.